not really physical, and he's designed to really just score, and he's going up against big physical guys like Gasol and Randolph, it wears him down. And Durant, as good as he is, not meant to really do any grinding. Grizzlies are at home. They'll shut this thing down in 6. And ironically enough, and surprisingly enough, 40% of the nation believes it's a leading vote getter that the Thunder are going to pull this out. And they could pull that out. Would not be shocked. But I just don't see it. How will this series end up? Clippers are 3-2 over the Warriors. Clippers are going to close it out in 7. Warriors are going to take Game 6 in Oakland, but I think the Clips come back, get another great round of applause, and I think the Clips do it again. My pick for the NBA Sixth Man of the Year: Taj Gibson, Manu Ginobili, Jamal Crawford. Crawford has had a very underrated year for the Clippers. Not a lot of people are talking about him, but he's had a great year. I mean, if you look at the statistics this year, the Clippers, (18.6 points per game. His free throw percentage is almost 87%. His field goal percentage is over 40%. He's playing 30 minutes a game. He's had a very, very good year. More than deserving. Ginobili spent quite a bit of time injured, and he was good, but he wasn't, I don't think, good enough to usurp Jamal Crawford. Here's the kind of one of those outside the box ones. Will the Bulls ever win an NBA title with Derrick Rose healthy? I say they will, and I'll tell you why. Because the Thunder are proving right now they don't have the mettle and the physicality to win an NBA title. The Spurs' streak of greatness is due to end soon. The Miami Heat may not even all be together next year. And honestly, if Bosh, Wade, and James are not all together, I see little chance that any of those three ever get a ring by themselves, unless they go to a team that's established and they can fit right in, like a Chicago, like even a San Antonio, like even an Oklahoma City, something like that. Even a Dallas, if they ever have a void there. I would have to say, because of that, because the Bulls have been able to have the emergence of Joakim Noah this year, Dunleavy having some great games, having a great Game 1 game against the Wizards, I say they will win a title. And surprisingly enough, 67% of the nation says they won't. 33% says yes. How much controversy will the 4-team playoff system draw for the BCS compared to the current one? A lot less, easily. And here's why. Because you're not going to keep getting controversies that to say, oh, well, these two teams should play the national title, not versus these two. You know what? You give them a bracket, let them play it out. And honestly, here's the James Kisner bracket system. You ready? You pick the top 24 teams, regardless of anything, in the country. I don't care about positions and standings in their own conference. The 24 best teams, as decided, as a combination to the BCS, the Associated Press, and the college poll. You get the 3 pot polls. You let the first top 8 teams have a bye, and let the next first 16 teams play out a first round. Those 8 play the winner of that 8, and then you play the bracket out. Honestly, that's the system we should be using. That system would take 5 weeks to do. You cut the and besides, these teams play so many meaningless regular season games at the start of the year anyway. Cut 2 off the regular season and have this start like around the first week of December. You'd have the BCS title the same week as they normally have it. Prove me wrong. What do I think will happen to Rob Gronkowski when he comes from his ACL surgery? I don't think he's ever going to be the same again. He's had ACL, he's had arm, he's wearing down. And the fact that Tom Brady's not getting any more accurate, and the fact that the offensive line's not as good as it used to be, the fact that we saw against the Broncos this year, the fact that unless LeGarrette Blount gone, they're not running the football. He's going to have a lot of problems. Should the Washington Redskins change their name? No. Now let's go to some hockey. And I think people would probably like this pretty good too. the first round of the NHL playoffs, I'm opening my bracket right now, because I did one of those bracket picks. Take me a second to open it. Here we go, got it. And this could take a second. Okay, I'm still logged in. Alright, now, I was obviously very wrong with St. Louis over Chicago. So far, six of the series have been decided. I did pick the Rangers, I did pick the Penguins, I did pick the Lightning, and I did pick the Bruins, and I was off on those. But going into the next round, and then the Western Conference, the Kings need to win, and the Avalanche need to hold on. If they do, I'll be 4-0 I'll be 3-1 in the West. So I'll be 6-2 through the first round. That's not terrible. That's not too bad. But here's the way that I see it playing out right now. You've got the Avalanche, who are 4-all right now with the Wild going into overtime. You've got the friggin' Canadians sweeping the Lightning, which shocked me. I've got to say right now, if I got to pick one team that I've been kind of low on, even though they're my favorite team, I got to say the Pittsburgh Penguins really impressed me against Columbus. And honestly, that sounds like an oxymoron, but I'm going to elaborate why. Last year, when the Penguins went into the playoffs, they had that long winning streak in March. And they had a couple of close games, and then they finished out the season on a really high note. They went into postseason, Islanders tested them. They got through that. They had, honestly, should have swept Ottawa, but they did take them out in 5 games. Looked very impressive. Overlooked Boston a tad. They didn't use Iginla right, and next thing you know, he gets blown out 4 straight. The point is this. I would rather be battle-tested than on a hot streak going from regular season to playoffs. You know why? Because you're getting your guys back. You're starting to realize, hey, my guys are getting healthy. We're starting to play better. We're starting to... Adversity really tests you. Adversity really, really tests your fortitude as a team, as a group of men. And honestly, the Penguins are going through so much adversity right now. I'd honestly say right now that they are one of the best teams off right now. They're, playing well. They're starting to get their crap together. Fleury, the last few games, other than the hiccup in game 4, has been incredible. Crosby needs to start scoring some more. But if anything, to play against the Rangers, I think is a good thing, because in the past, historically, we've pretty much lit up Henrik Lundqvist like a lamp. And the fact that down the middle, they've got a couple of decent centers. New York does, but honestly, if you've got to go against Brandon Sutter, who's probably better than either the first two or three line centers that the Rangers have, and then you've got Malkin and Crosby on top of that, that's just a recipe for disaster for the Rangers. And the fact that they have enough trouble scoring goals against Philly, and you got to go ahead against guys like Letang and guys like Orpik and Adams and Ole Mata and try to score on that, and Fleury is an exponentially better goaltender than Mason is, it's a losing proposition. I'll probably do in the second round my NHL playoff picks soon, but I will do my one right now for Montreal and Boston because that series starts tomorrow. I like the Bruins to take out the Canadians in 7, and there's a reason why I'm picking them in 7. And the reason why is because when you get rivals in the playoffs, you get great games. The Canadians are looking very good right now. They destroyed the Lightning. And if you look at the way they did, Game 1, Montreal broke their hearts beating them in overtime. Game 2, they went Tampa Bay still reeling. Montreal pounced and kicked their ass. Game 3, Montreal pulls away late. Game 4, Montreal takes out Boston by 1. You look at that, it just goes to show that they can capitalize on their opportunities, and they're a very mentally sound and tough hockey team. I give them a big chance right now to upset Boston. I would not be amazed if they did. I think more or less this is a redemption thing because of how last year they were embarrassed in the first round by Ottawa, but they seem to be a much more rounded team with a better offense than they had last year. Not much better, but better enough to get some goals. And the fact that the Red Wings gave the Bruins a pretty tough series, if you look at those games, I would say right now easily that Montreal is a much better team than Detroit was. Detroit took Game 1, 1-0. Boston pounded them again, beat them in overtime, pounded them again. 5 games, 3 just blowouts right now. And you look at the other games, though, very close. Honestly, this series could have ended up going 7 games. Because if you bring another game back to Detroit, that's just an invitation to send Detroit to the next round, because Detroit's a good, pretty tough, much better team on the road than at home. And besides, Boston would be mentally reeling having lost 2 or 3 straight games. I think right now I'm going to go with Montreal to take out Boston. Actually, I'm going to take Boston to take out Montreal. In 7 games, going to be tough for Boston, but I'd say Boston gets through. Right now, the other matchups that are set for Eastern Conference, I like the Penguins to take out the Rangers in 5. I mean, actually in 6, because we're going to get a rematch of last year's conference final, but let's put it this way. Goaltending is probably the only place right now where the Rangers have an advantage. Maybe they have some better defensemen, but here's the problem. The problem is that, again, the centers, they can't match up with Malkin, Crosby, or even Sutter. And, not knocking Sutter, I'm just saying Sutter's better than the other centers that they have on their team. I'm talking about New York there. So, yeah, Penguins in 5. I'm going to go with that. So, that's right now. That's how I think it's going to play out. I'll be back with my predictions for Blackhawks Blues. Actually, not for my winner with the prediction between the Blackhawks and the Wild and Avalanche, and the winner between the Ducks, the Kings, and Sharks. So I hope you guys enjoyed everything. So stay tuned for future shows. Glad to be back. See you guys later.